Hey, what's up, everybody? How y'all doing?
Hey guys,
The
Happy
new
New
year,
Year.
2019 is here. So, we're just hanging out, chilling, enjoying the new year, the fresh new year.
So we were discussing and we wanted to do some videos about ways that we are building and wanting to reach for our relationship goals. So we are going to, for the next 15 days, we are going to put posts out there. Hey Kayla, hey little James, our biggest fans. We're going to put videos out about how Rockin' with Trey reach for their relationship goals. So we're going to start today, and we have a topic that we want to discuss, and we're glad that you're here to join us.
So, what we're going to talk about today is one of the biggest keys in, building a relationship and moving forward in a relationship where both people feel comfortable, and that's communication.
Big. That's huge, huge.
And obviously, that's a big thing. We can talk about a lot of things, but what we're going to focus on today is being open and honest from the beginning of the relationship, and and expressing exactly what you need, where you're at, and what you're looking for in a relationship. So, in that, what I mean being open and honest means there's a lot of times where you meet somebody, you meet their representative. You don't really meet the real person. They're trying to put their best foot forward. They're trying not to make mistakes. They're trying not to step all over themselves. So not to, I don't want to say expose yourself, but not really letting the person, you're talking to get to know the real you until, you feel comfortable enough to let that person come out or let that side of you come out. Um, but I feel like that's a huge, huge, huge mistake that a lot of people make because you're going off of sometimes fear, sometimes not being accepted, uh,
Hi, little
sometimes not
Zoe. Hi, little
not
Ron.
knowing, where things are going. So you don't want to feel exposed yourself. You don't want to put yourself out there in a way where you can feel vulnerable. But I think in building a relationship, you have to put you have to. I don't consider it being vulnerable, but you know exactly what you want, and that's one of the things that Trey and I established at the very beginning was, if this thing's going to work, we have to be honest with one another from the jump, not, you know, say things that sound nice in the moment, but then we're not dealing with and tackling with who we are as individuals and then what we want in a relationship and as a couple.
Right.
So that's one of the first conversations we have is like, hey, if this is going to work, we need to be honest.
And it really helped me. Just a lot of you guys, I haven't really shared a lot of my story, but it really has helped me in the relationship. Rock and I are we've been together for a little over a year now, and just the way that I just appreciate the way that the relationship started out with the open, honest conversations that we would have because it just made me feel really comfortable, really safe, and it was just kind of, something that I wasn't used to. Um, we can get into my story, at another time, but a lot of you guys know that I am divorced, and so with that comes a lot of trust issues. It comes, it came with a whole just world of stuff, But throughout the year, throughout the time since the divorce has been, I have seen those things, just be, dealt with, handled, broken down, and just one by one, I've just been able to, just kind of, tackle them head on. But one of them was communication and honesty and trust and things like that. And with the communication, one thing that I just, it was kind of, weird at first, and I was just like, wow, this is really cool. Like, this is really helpful. And so, in the beginning of our relationship, Rock would call me like during the day, like at any time, any point in time during the day, and he'd be like, hey, I was walking down the street and just he would tell me anything. And I mean, I can let you tell, the stories, but, like if anything happened with, at work or just out and about at the mall or anything, he just would always call and talk to me about it. And he would, sometimes he would text me and be like, hey, I got something to talk to you about. And sometimes I would ask him, I'm like, why are you telling me that? And he would say, because I want to be honest with you and I want you to know, that if something happened that you can hear it, from me, and that, I'm always going to be truthful and I'm always going to, talk to you about stuff. And I just really, really appreciated that talking about the story that happened at work. I'll let you tell it though.
So basically, what she's talking about is there was a time that somebody was, I think they were leaving work, and they came and they was like, hey, gave me the number. It's like, hey, stay in contact with me. And I'm like, yeah, that's not it. But when that happened, I let Trey know that that's what happened. And a lot of people think that's counterintuitive. Why would you invite a possible argument into a relationship where we don't argue, we don't even have harsh words for each other or anything like that. But what
That's another day.
but what I thought it would do was knowing where both of us came from. It had an opportunity for us to build trust and say, you know what, this happened,
And it did.
and this is how I dealt with it, and I'm letting you know this is how I dealt with it. And the reason I felt that was important was because knowing that everybody has a past and everybody has a story, and knowing that everybody's been through certain things in life, a lot of times that the reason we let our representatives go in front of us instead of it being the real us is we're not going to allow ourselves to be hurt or be put in those situations again where things happen that we couldn't control, or there were outcomes that we didn't like. But in being open and honest, saying, hey, this happened, you're saying, okay, I'm willing to expose myself and let you know that this is what's going on. And now, mind you, you have to know the person you're talking with too. If they can't handle it, then they might not be able to handle it. But Trey and I were at a place like, hey, if this is going to work, you have to know these things, because I don't want it to come back and we talk about it a year later and be like, oh, have you ever got hit on at your job? And I'm like, oh yeah, like people give me, I got like 4 or 5 numbers. Oh, so you never told me about those things? And I think that's
And
a
that's
lot.
the part I really, really like. I just love
Yeah.
that, you know, it's almost like going past the honesty, past the communication part, and looking down the road and seeing, just kind of being retroactive. Is that the word I'm looking
Being
for?
proactive.
Proactive. But kind of just looking ahead to say, this could cause a problem. This could form, this, and this. So let's deal with it now. And let's just go ahead and just, talk about it. And that helped me so much. And it really, just throughout the year, like, it just seems like we don't have those talks all the time. But when something comes up, we do. And it just really just kind of continues to build that trust that I have in him, the God that's in him, the relationship that we have. I really like that.
Yeah, because it's hard to build off of a foundation that's not solid, that's not built on a rock. If you're building or you're wanting to build something and you're not doing it in a way that's going to last, and through time, it's going to fall and it's going to crumble. So I said, you know what? I told myself if this was something that was going to work long term, that there was going to be hard conversations that was going to have to be had, and there were going to be truths that need to be talked about. So then there's never going to come into question. So it's not going to come into question now if we're out somewhere and I get a look or she gets a look and they're like, okay, well, where do you know that person from? Oh, I know that person from work. Okay, well, why are they looking at you like that? You don't want to have to answer those questions. Those things can already be dealt with beforehand. You kind of like, okay, and you've exposed your partner to what's happening, how you dealt with the situation. Um, so just being honest in that way. And I think, the other thing it does is, like I said, everybody has a story and everybody has a level of distrust or not wanting to get done a certain way, and that just puts money into your collective trust piggy bank, so to speak. That you know not only is that person being open and honest with you, that they've exposed themselves enough to say, you know what, this is what happened, this is how I dealt with it. And it, and like, as Trey said, it makes you feel better that you're able to talk about those things except, instead of them coming up later and saying, okay, well, why wasn't I informed of this? If it wasn't a big deal, why didn't you tell me? Nobody wants to answer that question right there. If it was not a big deal, why didn't I know about it?
Yeah, that's good stuff. That's
So
good
it's
stuff.
better to deal with it when it's really a non-issue instead of letting something fester and then turn into a mountain that's really, a molehill. So
The other thing that I liked about that you mentioned past in our history, like I've always felt like, have you ever been in a relationship where you felt like you just, that's kind of like a no-no conversation, like that's just something that, you got to stay away from those conversations because, you know, it could be, offensive, it could bring up, you know, defense. I don't know. It can just not, I don't know. But
no,
okay. Well, what I'm trying to say is like sometimes it just makes people feel uncomfortable when you talk
yeah,
about their past or your past, and it makes them feel compared to, you know what I mean, and it just kind of they get into their feelings and their confidence of who they are and things like that. But I think with Rock and I knowing each other for so long and as children and just kind of knowing the foundation of who we are, like back when we were little, it's just been so helpful to just kind of open up to each other, like, this is my friend, I'm his friend, and and we both know that we're there for one another. And so it's just always been helpful that at any given time I'm able to just kind of talk about my past. And the past wasn't too long ago. So this is things that has happened 3.5 years ago. You know what I mean? So it's not, things that happened too long ago, but things that are more recent, in life. And I feel like I've always had that open door, to where I'm able to go and say, things that I've forgotten, but it helps, sometimes it just helps when you talk about stuff,
very
and
therapeutic.
yeah. And so, but I never get that feeling of that pullback, like he ain't
And,
trying to hear it.
and that's something that you have to establish at the beginning and being honest and saying, hey, are these topics okay to talk about? And if you're not in a place where you can talk about it, you have to say, you know what, no, I'm not ready to talk about that, because if you aren't ready and then stuff starts to come out, the other person's gonna feel like, okay, well, I just felt like I was lied to, I was led down a road, and maybe you said some things that maybe you were expecting to hear some things back. And then another person might be feeling attacked, or you're feeling poked and prodded, like, okay, I didn't want to go this deep into my life, you know what I mean? So those are things that, again, when you're upfront and you're honest at the beginning, on the onset of, the foundation of your relationship, you understand where to go forward with it, instead of saying, okay, if Trey asked me about
I'm sorry, guys. Were we ever ready to order?
Not yet.
Okay.
Thank you.
um, things that I wasn't ready to talk about, then she might feel some type of way, and she might say, you know what, maybe he's hiding something. Maybe I don't know him as well as I thought I knew him, or maybe he's not as open as he said he was. So maybe I need to pull back in where I'm at or where I'm wanting to go with things. So those things are key, is being honest and saying, okay, I'm okay with this. I'm not okay with that.
Right.
This is okay, or even in the midst of a conversation, you know what, maybe this is a little too heavy for me right now. And maybe we'll just have to pick this back up later, because I think what Trey was speaking to, there's a lot of emotional scars that happen, not from relationships, but also just from life.
Mm-hmm.
And I play football, so I have scars all over my body, and I can tell you, and each one has its own story, and I can tell you about each one. And the thing about scars, even though they're healed, and even though I don't feel pain from them anymore, I could tell you how I got them, how much pain I was in, how long they took to heal, and where I'm at now. And when you talk about it, you still remember those things, so those things become fresh in your memory. So sometimes we're not at a point where we're ready to talk about those things just yet, and you need to be honest about that. You can't hide that, because when you hide that, you're not giving your partner an opportunity to learn how to deal with you. And I think that's the other thing too in the communication, is they learn how to deal with you. They understand where you're at. They know when to push. They know when not to push. They know when to say, okay, I got you, and back off, and things of that nature. So just being open and honest is huge, huge, huge thing to start a relationship. And even you know, being single, being married, being divorced, you always have to continually work on the honesty and the communication in your relationship, because there's things that come up each and every day that if you don't communicate those things, then you're not letting that person in on what your day is like.
Yeah. Um, that's good. That was good. The other thing that I was thinking about, and then we're going to get out of here, was I think one thing that we do really, really good at is communicating just even on a daily basis. Like when things come up, we do talk a lot.
We talk a lot.
We talk a lot. We text a lot. We just we're always communicating. But one thing that that has come up is that, like, just throughout the time that we've been together, like whenever I have felt some kind of way and I feel like it's something that I don't like or something that he dislikes, you know it's just, how you kind of sometimes you'll start to consume that stuff and it'll start to build up, and then just one day it'll just come out and it'll just be a big blow up, and then y'all fighting. So, okay, in the beginning, we we like, just really just kind of set that tone to talk to each other, and again, that door was open so that when those feelings come up, when those thoughts come up, that discomfort comes up, that something that you don't like comes up, just stop what we're doing, just talk about it, and it was really, really cute in the beginning because we were so not used to each other in the beginning. And so when things would come up and my feelings then got hurt about something, he has no idea because he's learning me, I'm learning him. But, my feelings are kind of, just kind of in this place, and I don't know what to say, but but when I would talk to him about it and he would, receive it from me, we would get really quiet because it was almost like this is a no-no. like, like I didn't want to say nothing and he didn't mean to do, or vice versa. There's been times with me too, the things that he doesn't like, but we would get really, really quiet. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I think it's better to be quiet than to say something you can't take back.
Yeah, but it was like silence.
Yeah, it was silencio.
Yeah, like I was telling Jennifer about those days, those times where it was almost like we had way too much respect for each other. So we just rather be quiet because, things are gonna come up. You know what I mean?
You know it's gonna come up.
Yeah, we're people, we're normal people.
Yeah, pretty normal. You know what I'm saying? I think, but in those situations, I think the couple keys to handling that is not take offense to somebody being offended. When you're defensive and somebody's saying something bothers them, and you're defensive, then that puts them on the defensive. And saying, or sometimes it puts them on the offensive. Like, hold on, well, how do you not know that I feel this way? Or so just being open and honest, say, okay, if that's an issue for you, let's talk about it, let's deal with it, and don't be offended that they're offended.
Yeah.
Because there might be just some miscommunication, especially at the beginning or any stage in your relationship. There's going to be miscommunication at different points in time. But when you start to take it personal, or you start to make it bigger than what it needs to be, I think you run into issues, and then you can't have a conversation about it. I know there hasn't been a time where we've had a difference of opinion that we couldn't sit down and just talk about it and say, okay, I get you, I understand you, and that just comes back to. She knows I'm coming from a place of not wanting to hurt her and being open and honest and wanting to protect her, and her being the same, her wanting to be open and honest and wanting to protect me. So when you know that and that's the basis, it's a lot easier to come from that state of mind, as opposed to saying, they're not hearing me, they don't want to listen to me. This keeps coming up, so they must not care. And sometimes, in we all feel that way at some point in time, where we're not being heard, or we're not being heard the way we thought we said what we said. It's just a matter of saying, you know what, okay, this is what I need. Are you hearing me? This is what you did. This is how I received it. Can you tell me how that happened or where that came from? And a lot of times when you're able to take that time to not say things like, oh man, why that's stupid, I don't even know why you feel that way, I don't even do that, because that belittles somebody and how they're feeling. And nobody wants to feel like that. Nobody likes to be belittled. Nobody likes to be
Hold
talked
on.
down to.
Hold on. Could Jayla and Zoe, I see y'all talking about what's your number on Duo. Don't give out numbers over here. We'll connect with her later
That ain't
because
the kind of communication we talk about.
we ain't talking about
We ain't talking
communicating
about
like
that.
that, giving
Hello?
numbers out on the internet. This is live, baby. I'm going to need you to hold on. I'll handle that
I need
with you
y'all
in a
reel that
minute.
thing back in.
Yeah.
Reel it back in.
Don't y'all put. Thank you. She said, okay. That's funny.
So anyway, kind of wrap up. Just that's a start. Whether you've been in a new relationship, old relationship, divorce, whatever have you, being open and honest is always the best foundation to build upon. And not being afraid to say, this is what I need, this is what I don't need, this is what I like, what I don't like. Because how are you going to learn each other and know each other if you're not communicating those things? So then you don't get your feelings hurt, or you don't do things or put yourself in a position that you know is not going to end up being beneficial to you because you put your representative out there instead of the real person.
So we thank you guys for joining us. We are going to be here again tomorrow evening.
Not here, but here.
We don't know where we're going to be.
Who knows?
But we want you to join us, and Happy New Year, you guys. Look for more videos. We are excited about 2019. Whatever.
excited?
I am. Whatever it holds, I'm excited. So thanks, guys. Thanks for everything. Thanks for still rocking with Trey in 2019. We love you guys.
All right, see y'all later.
See y'all. I'll hit the button.